Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Paige Evans design team, and I'm going to be combining a couple of collections today. I was going through my papers from the Truly Grateful collection, and I realized that a couple of them matched the Horizon washi tapes. They've got some of that dark blue and some of that dark magenta pink color. And so I thought I would do a little bit of mixing and matching and create a layout using those items to start with. So I pulled out the washi tape and I just have a plain sheet of white cardstock here. And I want to use one of Paige's cut files, and I want to cut it on this paper with the washi tape on it. So what I'm going to do here is just basically cover the whole sheet of cardstock with strips of the washi, and I think I use all but one or two. And I love the colors in the tapes. You've got multiple shades of pink, multiple shades of blue, and I feel like they just match those two papers really nicely. And then there's also this thin tape of shiny gold, and it's not like the brassy gold, it's kind of a matte gold, but it's really pretty mixed in with these colors. Okay, so I covered the whole sheet and I went ahead and ran it through my Cameo, and it cut really well. This is one of Paige's cut files. It's called Flower Bunch, and I wanted to use it to basically create a background design, and I think the effect of this is really cool with the washi tape. And I had a couple strips that did not get cut, but that's okay. I didn't want to make it as large as the background. I wanted it a little bit smaller, but I wasn't sure which cut file I was going to use at first. So I love how the inside pieces look too. And there was just a couple of little spots there that I had to help with the scissors, but for the most part it cut really well. So I was pleasantly surprised because, you know, sometimes washi tape can catch and peel up, but yeah, it worked really well. And I love how that looks. I love that it's still got the stripe effect, but you've got multiple colors, multiple patterns, and look at the shiny gold. I love that. Just think it's something different and something fun to do. So that's an idea. If you have a bunch of washi tape, that's a fun idea to try. So I decided to go with a white background since I've got so many colors going on, and I didn't want the background to get too busy, so I didn't want to go with the pattern paper. And what I'm going to do here is coat it with clear gesso to prep it, because I am going to do some coordinating colors of shimmer sprays on the background. So the gesso is dry, and I'm just going to basically create a nice big watercolor splotchy area on the background that I can put the cut file on top of. And I'm going to work with it here. I'm using a shimmer's blue called Deep Blue Sea, and then that minty green color is called Oh Say Can You See, and it's really pretty. And I'm just going to spritz it with water and then use my brush to kind of help spread the colors around. And I actually love, I know I've said this many times before, but I love that you can see where I scraped the gesso on. It kind of creates these wonky stripes in the colors, and I love that. I just think it adds to the interest of the background and makes it a little more textured looking. The pink color that I just sprayed there is called Pink Stilettos, and it kind of gives a purple vibe when it mixes with the blue there. And the gesso is what allows all this blending and spreading and you know, mixing of colors to happen, because it's the color's not just soaking through the paper. The gesso kind of helps the color sit on top of the paper for a little bit before it dries, and therefore I'm able to blend it and mix it like this. And so I am dabbing up a little bit of it with my roll of paper towels, and I think when this dries, it's a really pretty background, and I think it's a really pretty color scheme too. Definitely different than my usual color scheme, but I just, you know, I wanted to try something different. And I think this layout is definitely different, but it was fun to make, and I hope you guys get some ideas to try from it. So I love how this is turning out. I love the lights and the darks, and I think it looks really cool when the cut file is back on top of it. And you know, some of this is going to get covered up because I'm going to add my picture, and I'm going to add some things here and there. I am going to add a little bit more of the pink, and instead of just spraying it down, I'm just going to use the nozzle to add just a little bit more. and then use my brush to help spread it around a little bit. And these are all shimmers, which are my favorite to use. I used them for so long and so much that I pretty much know the colors by heart as far as what's going to match what. But anyway, it's almost dry there, and I love how that turned out. I love the different color areas, and I think it matches the cut file pretty nicely. I'm going to come back in with the same colors and just add a little bit of splatters in the same colors, and then I'm going to come in with some gold. I felt like since there was a lot of shiny gold going on in the washi tape, I wanted to add a little bit of gold to the background. So I'm going to come in with some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine because it's always right there on my desk and it's almost empty. It's pretty much on its last leg here. So I'm going to keep using it until it's gone, which makes me sad. I do have 2 other bottles of it, which I'm going to use sparingly because, you know, they don't make it anymore. There are several shimmers that come close to the Heidi Swapp that are very, very good golds to use also. So I'm going to keep going here. You know, it takes me forever to finish my backgrounds. I'm just smudging in a little bit of the gold there. So there's not so many dots. I felt like when I put the cut file back on top of it, it was a little bit busy. I feel like, you know, the cut file's so busy, and I didn't want the background to drown it out or make it look any busier. So I toyed with the idea of making it look a little less busy. I thought maybe I would use the little petals and flip them over and use the whites to fill it in, but I changed my mind on that. But okay, now it's dry. This is the next day, and you can see how pretty that background turned out. I really love it. I chose to scrap this picture. It's just a cute picture of my daughter from, gosh, 2014, I think, and she's just in the swing having herself a good old time. And what I decided to do was, I think I'm going to fill in the centers, the circles of the middle of the flowers here with pattern paper. And so I went through and I chose a couple pattern papers, and they actually look kind of warped because I left them underneath my background when it dried, and so I guess the wetness sort of warped the papers a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to trace each circle and cut them out by hand because each one is a different size, and circles are easy to cut. So I chose the green, the blue, and then a brighter pink. I am going to come in with the first darker magenta pink color. You can kind of see there. And then there's 2 circles that I decided to make gold. So I just pulled the Heidi Swapp Color Shine out again and used the nozzle to paint those 2 circles. And I feel like that's going to help bring some of the gold to the front of the layout. Or not the front, but just, you know, give it a little bit more since it's in the flowers. I wanted to kind of bring it to the forefront. So I wanted to kind of soften up the middle of the circles, or the middle of the flowers. And so I thought to do that, I would just smudge a little bit of white gesso over them. It just kind of gives them a little bit of a hazy, chalky look. And I felt like that kind of created a really cool effect. So I haven't even glued anything down yet. So I'm going to very lightly add a little bit of glue here and there to the background or to the cut file because I wanted it to be flat. Because it would be really challenging to pop that up because it's so thin. So I wanted to just go ahead and glue that flat, and then I'm going to pop up the circles. And I'm just going to use some adhesive foam to do that, and just cut little squares of it here and there and stick to the back. And then this is going to create some fun dimension and just kind of make it pop up off the page a little bit. And there you can see the gold circles. I love how those turned out. So I'm going to start to work on my photo here. I'm going to add a little bit of tissue paper behind it just to give it a little bit of a layer, and then some of the same adhesive foam behind it. And I'm going to place the photo right there on the lower left corner area. And I'm going to work around it. And, you know, I mean, the layout, since I've got the background painted up and the cut file on top of it with all that washi tape, it is pretty busy. So I don't want to add a lot around the cut file area, I'm just going to kind of go minimal and add a couple things around the photo. And I'm going to use a couple of the floral die cuts from Truly Grateful, and then I'm going to use some of these wooden buttons. I haven't really used a lot of those yet, and there were several that were the perfect colors here. And they kind of read as solids because they're basically all one color, and I felt like those stood out a little bit more than, you know, something with even more pattern on it. And I'm going to use the big gold die cut there that says yes. That's going to be my title. I like that it's small and, well, it's a big die cut, but it's a small word. And because, you know, like I said, everything's kind of busy and got so much pattern going on. I felt like if I tried to create a big title, it would just make it look more busy. And I like the fact that the gold kind of is the perfect color for a title. So I'm just going to layer in some of these floral die cuts that match the light green flowers, that pink one, and then another green one over to the left with a little wood button to match. And then I am going to add just a little bit of thread. I don't go thread crazy here because I don't want to add to the busyness. So I'm just going to go with the dark blue thread and do a little bit underneath right here where the yes is going to go, just to kind of separate it from that busy background. And you can kind of see it peeking through the open spots of the yes and a little bit underneath it. And then just a little bit of blue over to the left where that light green flower is going to go. And it's very subtle. I thought about doing thread around some of the centers of the flowers, but I thought, no, that's just going to make it too busy and too wild and too chaotic, and it's busy enough. So I'm just going to leave the flowers pretty much as is, because they're fine as they are. So I'm going to start to glue down all the little clusters here and the photo, and then I'm going to overlap yes right on top of the photo, because you can see there she's in the swing, and then the swing itself is black in the photo, and so it's just basically some plain black space. And so I felt like it was okay to overlap the title on top of it because it's not covering up her face or anything like that. I wanted to bring a little bit more pops of the darker blue, and so I pulled out the epoxy stickers, and there's a ton of little dots on there in multiple colors that are basically like enamel dots. Except they're sticky. Well, I guess enamel dots are sticky, but these are epoxy is what I meant to say. But I still add a little bit of glue behind them because nothing likes to stick to gesso. It doesn't matter what it is, it always pops up. So I wanted to use some of these little epoxy phrase puffy word stickers. So I pulled out two that are the dark blue color and then the gold one that says adore. And I am going to add that into the flowers, but I felt like it didn't really make it look busier. It kind of brought out the colors. And so I just kind of did that. It was a spur of the moment decision, and I like how it turned out. Almost finished here. I'm going to use my gold metallic pen to draw out some lines and then add my journaling. And then I think the last thing I do is add a little bit more splatters. And my lighting in this video, it was a weird lighting day, and so I feel like it looks a lot busier in this video than it does in the final picture. But the final picture is coming up here in just a second, and I think that it shows the colors a little bit better. But yeah, now you can see the yes since it's shiny and gold there. I tried to get the best photo I could in the light to make the gold stand out, because sometimes when you photo metallic gold and it's not reflecting off the light, it just looks brown and dingy. And I did not want it to look brown and dingy, so I tried to get it in the best light. But here are all the final photos. Lots of texture, lots of color, different color scheme for me, but I wanted to do something different. There's so many possibilities with the Truly Grateful collection, and it was really fun to kind of mix and match the washi tape from Horizon with some of the goodies from Truly Grateful. So have you ever mixed and matched any of these collections? Because I feel like that from collection to collection, there's always something that ties together. But let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you in my next video.